There are moments in life when your heart feels like a prison. You walk around smiling on the outside, but deep down, chains are wrapped around your soul. The chains aren't visible, but they are heavy. They show up in your silence. They show up in your bitterness. They show up every time someone mentions the name of the person who hurt you. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Many of us are prisoners, not because of what was done to us, but because we refuse to let it go. Forgiveness, it feels like the hardest word in the dictionary. And yet, forgiveness is the very key that unlocks the prison door we built for ourselves. The tragedy is that many of us clutch onto the offense like it's our identity, when really it's the poison that's killing us slowly. Let me tell you this right at the start: forgiveness is not about excusing what they did. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from what they did. Forgiveness unlocks your prison because unforgiveness is not about the person who hurt you. It's about the cage it builds inside of you. When someone wrongs us, betrays us, lies about us, or wounds us deeply, the first reaction is to hold on to the pain. We think that by holding on, we are protecting ourselves from being hurt again. But what we don't realize is that the more we hold on, the more we tighten the bars of our own prison. It's like living in a cell with invisible walls. You might look free, you might go to work, you might laugh with friends, but inside you are bound. Bound by replaying the offense in your mind, bound by the bitterness that creeps into your heart, bound by the anger that rises every time you hear their name. You are shackled not because of what they did, but because of your refusal to release it. That's the cruel irony of unforgiveness. It doesn't imprison them, it imprisons you. Imagine carrying chains that no one can see, but everyone can feel. People around you can sense the heaviness even when you try to hide it. They can see the way your joy is cut short, the way your trust is guarded, the way your words are sharp when certain subjects are mentioned. You are trapped in a cycle of pain, rehearsing the past over and over again, like a movie you can't stop watching. And yet, the key to walk out of that prison has been in your hand the whole time. That key is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the decision to put the key into the lock and turn it. It's the decision to say, I will not let this chain define my life any longer. It doesn't erase what happened, but it frees you from being held hostage by it. Think of a person locked in a room with a door that is not actually locked. They spend years pacing back and forth, blaming the walls, crying about their captivity, banging on the door, and believing freedom is impossible. Then one day they push the door and it swings wide open. That's how unforgiveness works. It convinces you that freedom is impossible, that moving forward is impossible, that healing is impossible. But when you choose forgiveness, you discover the prison was never as strong as you thought. The door was waiting for you to try it. The power was in your hands the entire time. Unforgiveness is deceptive because it convinces you that you are punishing the offender when in reality, they may not even be thinking about you. They may be living their life while you are reliving the pain. They may have moved on while you are stuck in yesterday's wounds. Forgiveness is the way you stop letting them control you. Forgiveness is the way you say, you may have hurt me, but you will not hold me. It is your declaration of independence from the offense. It is your way of reclaiming your power. The truth is, prisons are built to confine. And when you live in unforgiveness, you confine yourself to the story of the past. You confine yourself to the memory of the hurt. You confine yourself to bitterness that steals your peace and robs your sleep. But forgiveness tears down those walls. Forgiveness allows you to breathe again, to smile again, to love again, to dream again. It is not about forgetting what happened. It is about refusing to remain a prisoner of it. Forgiveness is the master key. And once you choose to use it, the prison of your heart cannot hold you anymore. Unforgiveness is like carrying a heavy weight on your back that gets heavier with every offense you refuse to let go of. At first, it feels small, almost harmless, like a pebble dropped into your pocket. Someone made a rude comment, someone ignored you, someone overlooked you, and you brush it off, but you still keep it tucked inside. Then another person disappoints you. Someone breaks a promise, someone betrays your trust, and now the stones are bigger. You don't realize it, but one by one, you're loading rocks into a backpack that you carry every single day. Life still goes on. You still smile. You still show up, but deep down, you are weighed down by the baggage of grudges, pain, and resentment. And the tragedy is that most of us don't even realize how much lighter life could feel if we would only drop the bag. Every time you hold on to anger, every time you replay an offense, every time you cling to bitterness, it's like strapping another rock onto your back. You think you are managing it, but over time, the weight gets heavier. That heaviness doesn't just stay in your emotions, it seeps into your body, into your energy, into your attitude. You wonder why you feel exhausted even when you haven't done much. You wonder why you can't find joy even in moments that should make you smile. It's because unforgiveness drains you silently. It steals your strength and it slows down your progress. You were designed to run, but you're trying to sprint with a backpack full of stones. Think about trying to climb a mountain with unnecessary weight on your back. Every step feels harder. Every breath feels shorter. Every incline feels impossible. Some people never reach the peak of what God has for them, not because they weren't capable, but because they were too weighed down with baggage they refused to release. The weight of unforgiveness keeps people stuck at the base of the mountain, circling the same ground year after year, because they never took the moment to drop what they were carrying. Forgiveness is the act of lightening your load so you can actually move forward. The longer you carry the weight, the more normal it feels. You get so used to bitterness that you think it's part of who you are. You identify with anger. You normalize distrust. You live with resentment as though it's your personality. But just because you have carried it for years doesn't mean you were meant to carry it forever. You weren't built to live under the pressure of resentment. You weren't created to drag offense from season to season. That's why you feel stuck, because you're dragging a weight that was never yours to bear. When you forgive, you take off the backpack. You unload the rocks one by one, and suddenly you realize how light freedom feels. The same path that seemed impossible becomes possible. The same mountain that looked too steep becomes climbable. The same journey that left you drained becomes filled with energy again. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it changes your ability to walk into the future. It restores your stamina. It restores your joy. And it gives you back the strength that unforgiveness was secretly draining from you all along. Forgiveness is often misunderstood because people confuse it with weakness. Many think that if they forgive, it means they are letting the other person off the hook, or that they are somehow lowering themselves by giving grace. But the truth is the exact opposite. Forgiveness takes more strength than holding on ever will. It requires courage to release something that wounded you. It takes boldness to let go of a hurt that you could easily use as justification for anger. Anyone can stay bitter. Anyone can cling to offense, but it takes real strength to rise above it. Strength is not proven by how tightly you can hold on to pain. Strength is proven by how freely you can release it. Unforgiveness may look like strength from the outside because people who refuse to let go often look tough, guarded, and unshakable. They seem like nothing can break them because they are hard and unbending. But that isn't strength, that's armor. That's a protective shell built from wounds. True strength is being soft and yet unbroken, being able to smile in the face of betrayal, being able to love again after heartbreak, being able to trust again after disappointment. Strength is not about becoming harder, it's about becoming freer. And forgiveness is what makes that possible. When you forgive, you are not denying that the wound happened. You are choosing to rise above it. That is strength. Forgiveness says, you tried to take my joy, but I still have it. You tried to crush me, but I'm still standing. You tried to rob me of peace, but I refuse to give it away. It is a declaration of victory, not surrender. Forgiveness proves that what hurt you did not destroy you. It shows that you are stronger than the offense, stronger than the betrayal, stronger than the bitterness that tried to hold you hostage. Think about how much energy it takes to hold on to a grudge. Every time you see that person, you relive the offense. Every time you hear their name, your chest tightens. Every time you remember what they did, anger boils inside of you. That is draining. That is exhausting. It eats away at your peace of mind. But when you forgive, you stop wasting your strength on what already happened, and you start using your strength to build what's ahead. You no longer pour energy into rehearsing the past, you invest it into creating your future. That is the kind of strength that changes lives. It takes no effort to stay angry, but it takes effort to heal. It takes no courage to replay the hurt, but it takes courage to rewrite your story. Forgiveness is not the easy road. It is the brave road. That's why it feels so difficult, because it requires you to do the hard work of releasing something you feel entitled to hold on to. But every time you choose forgiveness, you are building spiritual muscle. You are becoming stronger in love, stronger in peace, stronger in resilience. Forgiveness doesn't make you weak, it makes you unshakable. Weakness is when your life is controlled by someone else's offense. Strength is when you decide that no matter what they did, they will not dictate your joy, your peace, or your destiny. Forgiveness is the strength that says, I am bigger than this hurt. I am greater than this wound. I am free, and I will keep moving forward. When people hurt you, it is easy to let their actions define who you are. You start to carry labels in your mind, labels that came from their offense. Someone abandoned you, and now you believe you are unwanted. Someone betrayed you, and now you believe you are unworthy of loyalty. Someone lied to you, and now you believe you are not valuable enough for the truth. Slowly, you begin to wear what they did as if it were your identity. But the reality is this: what others did to you is not who you are. Their actions do not determine your value. Their mistakes do not rewrite your destiny, and their brokenness does not have the power to name you. Forgiveness is the way you reclaim your true identity from the lies that pain has tried to attach to you. When you refuse to forgive, you stay tied to the story of what happened, and it begins to reshape the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. Instead of being full of joy, you become guarded. Instead of being hopeful, you become suspicious. Instead of being lighthearted, You become heavy. That is the cost of holding on to offense. It shifts your personality and steals the parts of you that once shined so brightly. The danger is that over time, you forget who you really are because you've lived so long in the shadow of the hurt. You start to mistake the bitterness for your identity when in truth, it's only a symptom of an unhealed wound. Forgiveness is the way back to yourself. It allows you to strip away the false labels that pain tried to place on your life. It reminds you that you are not defined by the betrayal, not defined by the disappointment, not defined by the abuse, not defined by the rejection. Forgiveness says, I know what they did, but I refuse to let it tell me who I am. It is an act of courage that separates your identity from your experience. It protects your soul from being rewritten by somebody else's brokenness. Consider this. When you hold on to unforgiveness, it is like giving the offender a permanent pen to write the chapters of your life. Every time you replay the offense, you let their actions dictate your emotions. Every time you refuse to release, you let their mistakes shape your present. That's how people end up living years defined by a single moment. A betrayal at 20 becomes the lens they see relationships through at 40. A rejection in childhood becomes the fear they carry into adulthood. But forgiveness is like taking the pen back and saying, you don't get to write my story anymore. It is reclaiming ownership of your narrative and choosing to live beyond what happened. Your true identity is bigger than what anyone did to you. You were created with purpose, filled with value, and stamped with worth long before anyone ever hurt you. No betrayal can erase that. No rejection can undo that. And no offense can change that truth. Forgiveness gives you access to live in that reality again. It lets you step out of the shadow of offense and into the light of who you really are. It restores the joy you thought you lost, the hope you thought was gone, and the freedom you thought was impossible. Forgiveness is not just about the person who hurt you. It is about protecting the purity of who you are and refusing to let their actions steal your identity. When you hold on to unforgiveness, it is like clenching your fist around a shard of broken glass. The tighter you grip it, the deeper it cuts into your skin. The blood flows, the pain increases, yet you keep holding on because you think dropping it means letting the other person win. What you don't realize is that you are the one bleeding. You are the one hurting, not them. That is the cruel trap of unforgiveness. It convinces you that you are keeping power, but in reality, you are wounding yourself. The only way to stop the bleeding is to let go. The only way to start healing is to release what hurt you. Forgiveness is the moment you open your hand and drop the glass. You cannot heal while you are still holding on to the source of the pain. It is impossible to move forward into freedom while your grip is still tied to yesterday's wound. Many people wonder why they can't seem to find peace or why joy feels distant. They go through life carrying emotional scars that never close because they refuse to stop reopening them. Every memory, every replay of the offense, every conversation about what